Cox. Stay motivated and change your socks.
The Lost Art with Andrew Cox podcast. Marine Corps League until Valhalla Project Ambassador. Now streaming on all major podcast platforms. Thanks for tuning in to the podcast that has given a voice to our veterans. The Lost Art with Andrew Cox. Go.
All right, hello, Lost Art listeners and viewers. Welcome to the floor of the Modern Day Marine Expo here in Washington, D.C. My name is Dr. Shawn Callahan. I'm the Director of Marine Corps History Division, and Andrew Cox is here with me to take a look at the booth that we brought here to Modern Day Marine to showcase History Division's activities and some of the neat things that we have to offer in support of our Corps. I want to start with our feature item, which is we have brought here the commission of Samuel Nicholas, widely regarded to be the first commandant of the Marine Corps. Samuel Nicholas's commission here is actually the very first document we know that establishes an individual as a Continental Marine. And since they have the lineage that leads directly to the U.S. Marines, this is the piece of paper that most closely establishes the foundation of today's Marine Corps that we have in known existence. So this has been in our archive for 50 years. We don't usually take it out, but because this is a momentous occasion to celebrate the 250th birthday of the Marine Corps, we decided it was worth putting it out here on public display. So a little bit of information about the commission. It was actually in the possession of the family of Samuel Nicholas till about 1943. Then they sought it out to donate it to the Marine Corps for its posterity and record keeping in the long term. The Marine Corps didn't have an archives back then, so it actually entrusted the document to the Historical Society of Philadelphia, which held on to it until 1976. And as part of the bicentennial celebration, the Marine Corps was looking at its origin story. We went and sought to get custody of that back, and it's been in our archives ever since.
Wow.
So again, a really important foundational document. This document is signed just 18 days after the resolution that establishes the intent to form 2 battalions of Marines, and Samuel Nicholas as the first known Marine.
That's
Andrew,
incredible.
Any questions about the document?
Yeah, so I know that the document hasn't come out. This is the real deal. So, that doesn't come out very often. How much have you seen that document come out?
This is the first time in 50 years.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm not promising we're going to get it out for another 50 years, so
yeah,
get a good look.
That's right.
It is the original. If you notice on the bottom, the signature, the president of the Continental Congress at the time was John Hancock. So literally there is a John Hancock.
That's pretty cool.
Another thing I think is really interesting about this particular piece of paper is that it's essentially a form document. Mm-hmm. It was used by the Continental Navy and the Continental Marines to award those commissions. And if you look at it closely, you'll see that there is the open space where you write in the name.
Right.
And then down below that, below the big W, there's actually a section lined out there. Because you might have had a member of the Maritime Marine Committee at the time fill it out, and they would say, "We, reposing special trust and confidence in your patriotism, valor, conduct, and fidelity, do by these presents constitute and appoint you to be a," and this is where they might write in, "lieutenant of the armed sloop called the Alfred in the service of the 13 United Colonies of North America."
Right.
So in this case, because Samuel Nicholas is commissioned to be a captain of Marines, and it's a rare case when it wasn't to serve aboard a particular vessel, mm-hmm. They just drew a line through the part about which vessel he was going to serve on.
Wow.
And then you'll notice later on it talks about discharging his duty as a captain of Marines. I'm sure anybody who's ever heard a commission or a promotion warrant read also recognizes some of those same
a lot
words.
Of it's the same verbiage, yeah.
Sure is. And if we read through the whole document, you'd see a lot more that reminded you of a modern commission.
Right.
We had some British officers here yesterday, and they told me that that's actually some of the same language that they use in theirs to this day.
No kidding.
And it makes sense because it goes back to the common lineage.
Yeah, absolutely. That's again, really cool.
This document is a commission to basically fight for the United Colonies after the Declaration of Independence in 1776. you're going to see the new form change to be it's for the United States of America, instead of the United Colonies.
Right.
So this really shows how early this document is and foundational to our entire nation.
I mean, it's in great shape too, so they took really good care of it.
Yes, well, that's part of the reason we keep it in such close guard on it and don't bring it out very often.
Yeah, absolutely.
But again, it's important to bring it out in times like this as a celebration of our history and remind us who we are and where we came from.
Oh yeah, well, 250 this year. That's big, so
absolutely,
it makes sense.
Yep.
So tell us kind of what all you do overall in the history division, and just kind of walk us through everything.
Sure. So the mission of History Division is to collect, preserve, and promote the history of the United States Marine Corps. Mm-hmm. And we do that through 3 branches that I'll talk a little bit about each of them in turn here in a minute. But the idea is that although we reside on the Marine Corps University campus in Quantico, Virginia, we really have a service-wide mandate. Mm-hmm. And our responsibility is to go out and collect those documents, either that are in people's personal possession, right, or official records like command chronologies, right, bring them into our archive, preserve them there for all posterity, make them available to researchers, whether they're official researchers or private researchers, mm-hmm, wanting to learn about the origins of the Marine Corps, they can write about it, mm-hmm, and then use that information to write the official histories and also support the information needs of the Marine Corps, Marine veterans, the wider American public, right, the rest of the government. So it's a very large target audience that we service with, mm-hmm, a very wide variation in needs. Right. And our core responsibility is to bring the documents in and make sure that they're accessible to the people who need them.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, but anybody can donate if they have documents, if they have anything like that, they can donate to you guys, and you guys would keep it on behalf of the Marine Corps.
That's exactly right. Yes. So we have 2 main channels of getting things into the archive. We have programs that require commands to write command chronologies and submit those. That's official. Mm-hmm. We can go out and conduct oral history interviews and things like that. That's also official. But if there is a member of the public who maybe used to be a Marine, or as a family member used to be a Marine, maybe they've passed away and they have some of these records, and they're interested in donating them, when they're brought into the Marine Corps Archive, they're kept forever. Mm-hmm. And so what I would suggest to you is, if you're not sure if that's the sort of thing you want to keep, maybe this is the right place to put it, where those things can be available. So if people want to research your granddad's, your mom's history, right, when they do that at some point in the future.
Yeah, and that's a big thing that I've seen is individuals that I've talked to, and they were like, oh, I don't have a lot of history on this person, and it was like an uncle or something like that.
That's right.
And I put them in contact with you guys, and we were able to find tons of information on them.
When people think ahead and do that sort of thing, we keep it, and we can do a lot of things with that you probably wouldn't even guess.
Yeah.
The ways that your story or your dad's story, your grandmom's story, you probably don't even appreciate the interest that's going to be shown in that in a later date.
Yeah, right? Very much so.
So getting it in the archive where it can be preserved is critical to that story being told at some time when the right person comes along.
Absolutely.
So for donations, we do have a review process, mm-hmm, because we only need so many rifle data books, right?
Right. Yeah.
So there's a review process where when a donation is offered, we'll bring it to the archive. One of the archivists will assess it, and it goes up to a board, mm-hmm, and the board will examine it for its historical value, right, and make a recommendation where it's either accepted as official U.S. government property or returned to the person who wanted to donate it.
Got it.
So don't be afraid that if it's something that doesn't belong in the archive, we're just going to get rid of it.
Right.
We will get it back to that donor.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, that's good to know. Yeah. So I know you talked about writing the Marine Corps history, the official history.
Yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong, there's a new one coming out here soon.
Yeah, there sure is. What I would propose is let's walk through the rest of the display here.
Yeah.
I think we've already got a pretty good segue into the archives branch mission,
okay,
which is the collections. But before we get to the histories component, the official written histories, I want to point out a couple things about that. Mm-hmm. So right now, the Marine Corps Archives in Quantico, Virginia is on what I call a 20th century model, which means We have 45 million documents in there, arranged in 6,000 different collections. We have a huge archive where those are kept in a very safe place, humidity controlled, protected from the environment and such. And if somebody wants to do research in that, generally, they've got to come to Quantico, make an appointment with archivists, who will then pull those things out and make them available to them in our research room.
Right.
But that's a 20th century model.
Mm-hmm.
We know that today, the pace of information and the way people do research is changing.
Absolutely.
So we're actually undertaking a pretty big initiative to provide greater access, ultimately online, to our collections.
Very nice.
So the first part I want to talk about, represented by this monitor, is we have a partnership with the University of South Carolina, and they have established what's called the Marine Corps Film Repository there. We have taken all of our films and provided them to the Creation Program as part of the University of South Carolina's library system.
Right.
And they are now basically going through all those films that are deteriorating every day and
Right.
digitizing those and making them available online.
Wow.
So this is one example. We've got the famous recruiting videos such as Regiment's Hand Down Forever.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big thing put together by J. Walter Thompson Recruiting Agency
Right.
to support Marine Corps recruiting, and I believe it was about 1976. But that's just one of thousands and thousands of films that South Carolina has digitized for us. And it's an example. I mean, it's available on the internet where you just put in search terms,
Right.
and they'll let you know the battalion name you typed in, or the topic you typed in. Here's dozens of videos
Oh, wow.
that you might want to look at and use, and you can click and view each one.
And you just go to the search engine and type that in, or
Yeah,
you,
it's
you
a
go to the
link
actual...
we can give you
Okay.
that has a search engine built in that just searches the Marine Corps collection.
Yeah.
Although they've got many other collections.
Yeah, that's really cool.
But we want to do essentially the same thing with all the other stuff we've got, the tens of thousands of photographs, the
Right.
45 million documents. And so over here we have an example of the process that we undertake to do things, and like you have to wait to see the slides change, but this is a 35 millimeter negative, and we have all sorts of equipment in our digitization lab that we can use to turn it into that.
That's incredible. And the way that, I mean, it's super clear. I mean, it's amazing. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, it is phenomenal. We can do that not just with 35 millimeter film, but all sorts of other media. So one of the classic things we'll do is we have a photograph of the entire crew of a battleship sitting on the deck of the ship.
Right.
Now, the photograph's about this big, but when you look at any individual sailor or Marine there, they're about the size of a grain of rice.
Right.
Well, through our digitization lab, when we blow that up, you can now see that individual that was that small, enough detail that you can read the ribbons on their chests, the rank insignia. You can make out all sorts of details that is almost like a forensic level of analysis you can put into these documents now.
Right.
And something like that was a picture big enough to fit in this monitor, is now so big you can make an entire wall,
Oh, wow.
Mural out of it.
Right.
That would have enough detail that you would see no real loss in the quality.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yep.
That's huge.
So our vision ultimately is to make all this available online by using the search engine that we currently have restricted to inside use, and making it available to the public for public use.
Right.
We've just got a lot of policy obstacles and cybersecurity things we got to do to make that happen.
Absolutely, yeah.
But that's what we're looking to do, is take our archive from the 20th century into the 21st century.
Yeah.
And hopefully we won't take half a century to get there. But
Well, hopefully not, yeah.
all right.
I think you're the right man for the job, so.
Thanks. I'll do my best. No promises, but
Yeah.
can promise to do our best on that.
Yeah, I like it.
And really, the importance of that is that's making that information accessible to Marines, Marine veterans, other members of the U.S. government, the American public. They deserve to know about their Marine Corps and what value the Marine Corps delivers for
Right.
the nation and its defense. So we have a congressional mandate to do this, and we're going to make it happen. It's just a question of when.
Yeah. That's the way it works, We'll get there eventually.
Yep. So the activities I've described so far largely relate to our archives branch. You mentioned publications. So we have a histories branch
Right.
that is composed largely of trained historians, mostly at the PhD level. And their primary mission is to research and write the official histories of the Marine Corps.
Right.
And on the table here, we have an example of like the wide variation of histories that we produce. This is part of the Red Book series, which is a 5-volume series that covered definitively the operations of the Marine Corps in World War II.
Right.
To things that are more commemorative in nature, such as this pamphlet-sized history that focuses on the Battle of Fallujah.
Right. Yeah.
I should mention as well that History's branch does collections of oral histories, so oral history interviews.
Right.
But another thing I want to point out is this right here is the last comprehensive history, like start to finish, that the Marine Corps wrote on itself in 1970.
Wow.
Is when they actually published this. So for 50 years, we've had no book that tells the whole story.
Yeah.
Now, there's been a couple of private efforts. Professor Alan Millett produced one called Semper Fidelis in 1991, and that is a go-to resource.
Right.
But of course, it ended in 1990, 1991. General Simmons, former director of Marine Corps history, he produced one, and there was a 4th edition that came out in 2002. He passed away shortly after that.
Right.
So even if you turn from the official publication to private publications, there currently is no book that tells the whole 250-year story of the U.S. Marine Corps.
Wow.
That includes everything that's happened since 9/11.
Yeah.
So once we realized it was time to really focus on commemorating our 250th birthday last year, we suspended several other projects, put maximum effort into writing a new 250-year history of the Marine Corps, which this poster right here shows you the cover of that book. It is called Semper Fidelis, 250 Years of U.S. Marine Corps Honor, Courage, and Commitment. And it does update that story to fill in the missing generation that was missing from the histories between today's Marines and those who got out, at the end of the 20th century.
Right, yeah, absolutely.
So this really provides the bridge, from today's Marines all the way into their deep heritage and past in a continuity.
Yeah, absolutely. And the picture on there is really cool. I've seen this picture before, but those are all people standing there. I don't know if you'll be able to see it on here, but it's pretty cool. They make that Eagle Globe and Anchor. That was neat.
We picked that very much intentionally. So that was in 1921 on Paris Island. They got all the Marines out and they arranged them on the field and took this photograph. And it's called the Living Eagle Globe and Anchor.
Right.
Because it is an Eagle Globe and Anchor made up entirely of Marines.
Yeah.
Right? And we could have wanted something more colorful, but honestly, as I thought back to Marine Corps history and we thought about the different cover options we had, we could not think of anything better that captured our message at 250 years.
Yeah.
Which is that our Corps has a storied past.
Absolutely.
And enormous accomplishments. But it was only able to accomplish that because of the contributions of the individual Marines that together make up the Corps and make up its history and its legacy. So by looking here and seeing that the Eagle Globe and Anchor is literally made up of individual Marines, in this case thousands, but in our case, millions over the course of our history.
Absolutely.
It's representative of the story we're trying to tell.
Yeah, I love it. That's incredible. And when will that actually be out?
So we're in the final edit right now, the final proof. In May, we will have the online version available for download on the History Division webpage, where all of our other books, by the way, are available in online formats free of charge.
Okay.
And then we'll have the print run done this summer. We're targeting July.
Okay.
So we will have several thousand copies ordered at History Division. One of every publication we produce gets sent to every Marine Corps unit for their unit library.
Right.
We'll also have a certain number there available to the public free of charge.
Very nice.
Our website also contains a link where you'll be able to order that and get your own copy. And of course, if there are folks who want to get larger numbers for some reason, they will also be available through the government printing office.
Right.
So a lot of different options. You can get it online and read it on your Kindle. You can get your free copy from History Division, or if you want larger numbers and for personal use, you can certainly make that happen too.
Wow.
Through the government printing office.
It's incredible. I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited.
We are too. We are very excited about this project, and it's really been a great endeavor for us to come together as a writing team. Because usually we have one person write one book.
Right.
In this case, we've had 5 or 6 people contributing to writing this.
Absolutely.
It's been really good to bring us together as a team, and we're very proud of the result.
Yeah.
I've seen it, and I'm excited about it, but I think most Marines will be too.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully, they'll be able to carry on that tradition that we've done in the past. It'll be good. Yeah.
Great. So I wanted to take a minute and also talk about one last part of our division that I think might be really useful for your viewers to be aware of.
Okay.
So half of our manpower in the division is made up of civilians, full-time mostly.
Right.
But half of our division is made up by reserve Marines who compose our field history branch. So it's an IMA detachment of about 17 Marines. And I have here Colonel Eric Wagner, who's the OIC of the detachment. They provide a critical capability. We civilians, even former Marines, can't go out everywhere we need to go to collect the documents we need and to get the interviews we need and to observe history as it's happening. The combat zone is probably not a place I'm going to be able to send my civilians. But our reserve Marines provide a critical capability to do that. And when they show up, they have a little more credibility than we have, even if we, like myself, you are a former Marine.
Right.
It just brings a different level of credibility. So, for Wagner, I think this is probably like a recruiting opportunity for you. And I just thought it might be a chance for you to talk about the qualities you look for, and then if there's any prerequisites Marines need to consider when they're looking for the next reserve team.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So the Field History Branch collects on the current operational history of the Marine Corps, and while we love to capture the stories from veteran Marines, whether it's capturing on the 102-year-old female Marine from World War II, or the Marines from Tet or Way or the Chosen, our main mission is to capture what Marines are doing today and get that on the record for posterity. And as Dr. Callahan said, I'm blessed to lead a team of 17 Marines that is mainly, that major to lieutenant colonel, but we also have staff NCOs and sergeants. And what I look for, hands down, is not someone that's interested in Marine Corps history, because of course everybody loves Marine Corps history. I want someone that can talk to someone and look a person in the eye and elicit information and make them feel comfortable, and be able to do that regardless of MOS or background or gender or age, and have them tell that story. So like I know Dr. Callahan just said, we're not trying to capture that lessons learned, but we're trying to capture that individual story of what made them go right instead of left after they got out of the helicopter, or what were they thinking of the night before they went into the mission. And I'll just say that it's a great opportunity to be able to lead Marines to do this, because we're one of them, and whether it's like Combat Camera will go in and take pictures, we're going to go in and collect the stories for America, for posterity, for the Corps.
Do Marines who might be interested in coming to the branch, do they need to be trained historians?
No, absolutely they don't. I mean, competition's fierce for a small number of billets, so we want the most well-rounded person. But you don't need a history degree. Again, you need the ability to go out there, use your Rolodex, and talk to people, and we'll train you and teach you. But one thing I can't be able to do is teach somebody how to talk to someone. So that's what's most important. And then there's a series of a productivity series where you can earn your MOS as a Marine Corps historian as well, which Dr. Callahan was valuable in getting through the system. So that's another opportunity, but we're always looking for Marines that are interested. So RQSs are welcome.
Very nice. Awesome. I don't know if they can hear me, but is there anything as far as you want to address with getting that MOS? I mean, that seems pretty interesting.
It is. It's a neat opportunity. So the main way that my detachment collects things for the Marine Corps is, obviously we collect artifacts and things, but we're collecting oral history. So that story of that individual, whether that's a World War II individual or something that happened yesterday. So there's a certain number of those that have to be accomplished to earn the MOS, and then there's also, we like Marines to have a writing ability, or at least attempt to have a writing ability, because it helps them understand the value of what they're collecting to try to write about it, and it makes them a better historian on top of that. So a writing ability, a certain number of collections, and that goes towards earning your MOS, and then we work with the Army School for training military historians as well.
Wow, that's really cool. I like that. I wish I had that back when I was in, and I could have taken advantage of it, but it's all right. I'm here now.
It's a good job we got, and somebody's got to do it. So.
Yeah, I feel the same way about certain opportunities over the course of my career, but I'm grateful that things like this exist now. Eventually we can work out, right?
Absolutely, yeah. That's really cool. Well, you have anything else you'd like to share?
No, thanks for getting our message out and our story out.
All right, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, Andrew, I'd just like to say,
hey, Colonel,
thanks to the Lost Art listeners and viewers for taking interest in hearing our message. I guess the big thing I'd like you to know about Marine Corps History Division is it's here to serve Marines and veterans and the American public to understand their Corps. And we take that mission very seriously, and we will do our best to support your information needs and help you learn about what the Corps has done for our nation.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for coming on and doing this. I'm sure the listeners get a bunch out of that. I know I did, so it's all good. But yeah, thanks for coming on and doing it. Fantastic explanation and walking us through, so thanks.
Super. Anytime you want to come back and talk history, just let me know. I'm more than happy to do so.
I love it. All right, I'm going to hope that I'm on there correctly here, but to all the listeners, if you're struggling, need help, anything like that, don't forget that the VA has some great resources. You can always dial 988, press option 1. You can text 838-255, or you can go to veteranscrisisline.net and click on the chat icon. Any of those options will put you in contact with somebody that can help you out. But remember, one veteran life lost is one too many. I care about you. I know this guy here cares about you. So please reach out and get some help. And if you're out there, you're not struggling, reach out to a buddy you served with, ask them how they're doing. And if they need that helping hand, please give it to them. All right, one last time, thank you. Truly appreciate it. To all the listeners, stay motivated, change your socks.
Government